Welcome to the Tech Mobility Podcast, brought to you by Playbook Investors Network, your strategic partner for unstoppable growth. Visit pincommunity.org to get started.
I'm Ken Chester. On the docket, my impressions and review of the 2025 Ford Maverick Lobo pickup truck, drilling geothermal in Texas, and why trucking needs CDL reform. To add your voice to the conversation, be it to ask a question, share an opinion, or even suggest an idea for future discussion, call or text the Tech Mobility Hotline. That number is 872-222-9793. Or you can email the show directly, talk@techmobility.show. For those of you who enjoy Substack, you can find me at Ken C. Iowa. That's Ken, the letter C, IOWA. I'm a proud member of the Iowa Writers Collaborative. Check it out. From the Tech Mobility News Desk. Why would a supercar manufacturer, a boutique manufacturer, decide that now is the time to introduce an all-electric supercar chassis? And a European, no less. Ferrari is introducing its all-electric Electrica supercar chassis. The innovative chassis has been built in-house using in-house components for its first all-electric supercar. The new model boasts over 1,000 horsepower, advanced battery integration, and groundbreaking dynamic controls. I am, what's the word I want to use here? Torn, I think is a good word. On the one hand, being what we consider a boutique manufacturer, that is a manufacturer, an automobile manufacturer that does not build many cars, and I'm talking less than 25,000 total a year. There could be some advantage to doing this, but where the market is going is not electric right now. So why would they spend all this money and all this time, particularly in-house? They did not buy off-shelf components. They developed everything in-house, about as expensive as you're going to get. The argument is that Ferrari, and this is from the EV report, has unveiled a production-ready chassis and key components for its first fully electric vehicle, the Ferrari Electrica. This launch represents a major milestone in the brand's multi-energy strategy, showcasing a new vehicle developed and manufactured entirely in-house to deliver the unparalleled performance and driving pleasure synonymous with the Ferrari name. Okay. The chassis and body shell are made with 75% recycled aluminum, and they claim that it saves 6.7 tons of CO2 for every vehicle built. Now, in fairness, if you think they're going to build 10,000 of these, no. I would be impressed if they built 1,000 of them. The powertrain delivers 1,000 CV in boost mode and achieves 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, which is roughly 62 miles an hour, in 2.5 seconds. 2.5. Anything below 3 is ridiculously fast. And we're talking Tesla Model S Plaid. We're talking Lucid Air in its performance mode. Why do you need to go that fast? But anyway. The integrated battery design lowers the vehicle's center of gravity by 80 millimeters compared to an equivalent internal combustion engine model. And the vehicle includes over 60 patented technological solutions, including Ferrari's first ever elasticized mechanical subframe to enhance driving dynamics and comfort. Okay, let me give you both sides of this. On the one hand, Ferrari's looked into the future and realizes the advantages of electric propulsion, of which there are many, which is immediate power and the ability to program it any kind of way you want, whether you put it on the axle, you put them in the wheels. Most of the fastest supercars built today in the low batch numbers are electric now because you get all of the torque immediately. No internal combustion engine and transmission configuration can deliver the immediacy of full power like an electric can. The Ferrari Electrica is the result of extensive research into electrification built upon knowledge gained from hybrid solutions dating back to Formula One all the way back to 2009. Here's their premise. The project was initiated with a clear strategy to introduce an electric model only when the technology could guarantee the superlative performance and authentic driving experience expected of the brand. Imagine being able to do this with such a weight reduction, because typically you're looking at a 12-cylinder, probably turbo. Without that, you've got batteries, you've got the motors. And then you could tweak the performance curve any way you want to. And realizing that when the driver hits the pedal, that car will respond immediately. No spool, no shifting. All the power from the time you drop your foot. You get it all. No torque curve. All the torque right there. This is the thing I've been trying to explain to everybody. Electric is way more than just choosing to be, correct when it comes to climate change or things like that. There are performance advantages to an electric vehicle. Every electric vehicle has these crazy performance numbers. When you get to this level, when you get to this performance level of supercar, it puts it on steroids times 5. This vehicle combines state-of-the-art technology with Ferrari's artisanal traditions, according to them, ensuring a unique and peerless final product. And they say it's ready for production. And I wonder, the piece does not discuss how many they expect to build. But I can tell you pretty much that you're looking at a small number. You're looking at maybe 500, maybe 1,000 tops. And at those numbers, I fully expect this vehicle to be sold out. The battery was designed, assembled, and fully integrated in the chassis, and its layout is optimized to lower the center of gravity and achieve an ideal weight distribution of 47 front and 53 rear. The design shifts some protective functions to the car's body, allowing the battery itself to be lighter and more integrated structural element. Can you imagine? It also runs on what we call a high voltage system. It's an 800 volt system. And like most vehicles at that level, they run high voltage because it makes everything just run better and incredible. Now, they don't talk about what it takes to charge it. They don't talk about time, but I'm willing to tell you that it's probably pretty quick. Typically now with vehicles in this realm, you can probably expect them to charge from 10% to 80%, typically 10 to 20 minutes tops. That's where this is going. But again, in fairness, this does not say how long it will take to charge, what the range is on this vehicle. None of that is here. I would be curious to see if you can get at least 250 miles out of it. You wouldn't get any less because right now everybody's heading towards 500. But for this, I would expect that they would trade range for performance in order to keep weight down, because it also doesn't talk about the size of the battery pack in terms of, weight, in terms of, how big it is, how many kilowatt hours it is. No, I take that back. It does. 122 kilowatt hours is the battery pack size. By the same token, that is about what a Hummer by GMC electric carries. That is a big battery pack. But with that lower center of gravity, this thing would be literal sled on rails. because that's the other advantage of having that weight close to the ground. Ford has taken its entry-level Maverick pickup truck to the next level with its Lobo model. You are listening to the Tech Mobility Show.
In business, opportunity doesn't wait, and neither should you. At Playbook Investors Network, we connect visionary entrepreneurs with the strategies, resources, and capital they need to win. Whether you're launching, scaling, or reimagining your business, our network turns ambition into measurable success. Your vision deserves more than a plan. It deserves a playbook that works. Playbook Investors Network, where bold ideas meet bold results. Visit pincommunity.org today.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than AONmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. AONmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show.
Every great business starts with a spark, but taking it to the next level takes strategy, connections, and capital. That's where Playbook Investors Network comes in. We're your strategic partner for accelerating growth, navigating challenges, and capturing market opportunities before your competition does. Your business is more than an idea. Let's make it an impact. Playbook Investors Network. Your future starts here. Learn more at pincommunity.org.
2 letters to look close for on a new Ford car are NC, no extra charge.
This economical Pinto's got solid-state ignition and steel-belted radials, all NC, no extra charge.
NC, nice car.
The 6-cylinder Maverick's got steel-belted radials and solid-state ignition, too. All NC.
NC, neat compact.
NC, now choose.
Ford small cars. The closer you look, the better we look. See for yourself at your local Ford dealer.
Not so much. The early 70s were not kind to any domestic manufacturer. I remember back in the day, and the quality was atrocious. I won't rehash Ford Pinto. Everybody knows about that. But I am going to talk about the Ford Maverick. If you're younger than 40, you might not know that the nameplate has a history that goes back more than 50 years, but not as a pickup truck. So give me a minute. Let me explain. It was originally available as a 2-door coupe and a 4-door sedan. Yeah, it was a car. The first Ford Maverick was a compact car that was manufactured by the automaker from about 1970 to 1977 in the United States. I think in Brazil it went another couple of years to 79 and replaced the Ford Falcon. It was conceived at the time as an import fighter designed to help Ford stem the tide of well-made and very economical Japanese imports that were eroding Big Three market share. Yeah, the Japanese were having a field day and Detroit couldn't figure it out. Took them a while. Over its product run, the company built over 2.1 million Maverick sedans. The Maverick was replaced by the more European-styled Ford Granada, which was a disaster in its own right, but that's a conversation we'll have another day. The name Maverick would remain dormant in the automaker's marketing inventory for 45 years until 2022. Ford chose the Maverick name for its new 4-door compact pickup truck. Now, the Maverick that you probably recognize now is a front-wheel drive-based unibody platform that is shared with the Ford Focus, Ford Escape, Bronco Sport, and Lincoln Corsair. Slotted below the Ranger as the company's smallest pickup truck, the modern-day Maverick went on sale in late 2021 as a 2022 model. Its low price, $19,995, combined with the available hybrid powertrain, and let me stop right here. When Ford rolled this out, the hybrid powertrain was the base power in this thing, which was amazing because when I test drove it, they had an introduction in Nashville. We're coming down the highway, and I'm watching my fuel economy actually increase as I'm driving down the road at 65 miles an hour. I'm watching it in real time actually go up. Blew my mind. As a result, it became a very successful unit, matching resulted in demand outstripping supply for its first several years. Imagine that. Affordability. It's a thing. Initially available in 3 trim levels, Ford added 2 trim levels for the 2025 model year. The sport truck themed Lobo and the now standalone off-road package Tremor. This review is about the Maverick Lobo model. And the 2025 Maverick Lobo hit the street with a lowered ride height and sports-tuned suspension with revised shocks. Ride height as a result is a half an inch lower in the front and just over an inch lower in the rear compared to the standard Maverick, and roof height is almost an inch lower. Additional unique features include bigger enhanced brakes with dual piston front brake calipers, which were used on the European Focus ST, a retuned all-wheel drive system with a Lobo mode that activates torque vectoring through a twin-clutch rear drive unit found on Bronco Sport, a sportier exterior design with black plated trim and 19-inch black-colored turbofan-styled alloy wheels. It has a whole new grille. The interior receives a few differences, such as exclusive seat badging. Specially tuned steering makes the truck drive more like a performance car. Power for the Maverick Lobo is generated by a 2-liter 4-cylinder gasoline EcoBoost engine that makes 250 horsepower and 277 foot-pounds of torque. Energy is communicated to all 4 wheels via a 7-speed automatic transmission with paddle shifters. EPA fuel economy is 21 city, 30 highway. Payload capacity is 1,045 pounds. Towing capacity is 2,000 pounds. Here's what I liked about the Maverick Lobo. The Lobo represents the return of the small street truck. The lower truck height facilitates entry and exit, not to mention better on-road handling and control. Underway, the Lobo is quiet and responsive at speed. Standard sunroof, fog lights, and a comfortable driver's seat round out the creature comforts. Here's what I didn't like about the Maverick Lobo. And unfortunately, this is a long list, starting with the typical placement of the spare tire under the cargo bed exposed to the elements. I know, it's a standard complaint, but I'm going to keep complaining until the automakers hear me and make a change. Displays, control, and switchgear are what I call fussy. They're not intuitive. They're not easy to use. And, surprisingly enough, Ford didn't equip this Maverick with any driver performance modes. And that's not okay. I found the rear seat to be dysfunctional, bolt upright and overly firm. There is no rake for the seat back, meaning if you're going to haul somebody back there, they may not be comfortable if you're going to be driving for a while. And honestly, because this is a street truck, okay? Honestly, does a towing package really need to be part of this truck, of this model? The trailer brakes adjustment knob is located in a bad place and will get easily confused for the audio or climate control knobs. And here's an odd observation. The gas pedal's slippery, not the thing you want when at the wheel. Something I just don't encounter that often. So here's the bottom line. And honestly, this is more of a rant than closing observations. So let me start with this. In January 2022, Ford suspended customer orders due to a backlog in vehicle production. Remember, it was introduced in late 2021, but by the first of the year, they had already stopped. The company told dealers it intended to resume taking orders for the 2023 model year later in the year. The strong demand for Maverick was said to indicate customer support for a more affordable pickup truck. But there's more. Then in July 2023, about a year and a half later, Ford CEO Jim Farley stated that 56% of the buyers chose hybrid powertrain for their Maverick instead of the standard 2-liter EcoBoost. even though the hybrid option was $1,500 more expensive. Let me stop right there and say this. When Ford initially introduced this thing, the hybrid was standard. I'm just going to let that settle where it is. The base manufacturer suggested retail price for the 2025 Ford Maverick Lobo pickup truck starts from $40,750. Destination charges add $1,595. Extra cost options on the test truck included 19-inch black aluminum wheels. Total MSRP, including extra cost wheels and destination charges, came to $42,445. Yeah. This was supposed to be an affordable truck, Ford. If you decontented the truck and let them equip it the way they want to and trick it out, I think, like you did for Bronco, I think it's a better idea, as opposed to giving them a truck at that price point. And oh, by the way, it is the most popular hybrid truck in the industry. Drilling for energy is still going on in Texas, but not for oil. This is the Tech Mobility Show.
You've got the drive. You've got the vision. Now you need the right partner to make it happen. At Playbook Investors Network, we power ambitious leaders with the tools, insight, and investment connections to move faster, grow stronger, and lead markets. We're more than advisors. We're your co-pilots in success. Because in business, standing still is not an option. Playbook Investors Network, fueling ambition, delivering results. Visit pincommunity.org.
Did you know that Tech Mobility has a YouTube channel? Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Each week, I upload a few short videos of some of the hot topics that I cover during my weekly radio program. I've designed these videos to be informative and entertaining. It's another way to keep up on current mobility and technology news and information. Be sure to watch, like, and subscribe to my channel. That's the Tech Mobility Show on YouTube. Check it out. Texas, long recognized for the Permian Basin, Spindletop, and other important crude oil locations, not to mention oil pipelines, oil refineries, and petrochemical plants. In recent years, renewable energy has also made major inroads in the state, first with wind energy and now with geothermal power, using much of the same technology, ironically enough, used to discover and extract crude oil from the ground. This is topic B. This is consider this geothermal 2.0. It's a little bit different what they're doing as opposed to typical geothermal energy. And geothermal energy is basically using water that gets heated from hot rocks, running that up and the steam it creates and turning some turbines. This is a little bit different. The way that this works is they consider it a geothermal battery system is what they call it. Actually, the proper term is a geopressured geothermal well. That's what the energy system is called. Let me explain how that works. It works by capturing excess electricity from the grid and using it to pump water deep into the cracks of the rock that was created with techniques similar to those in traditional gas fracking. The system then holds the water under pressure. When electricity is needed on the grid, a valve releases the water through a turbine, turning the water pressure back into electricity. They call it a geopressured geothermal well, as opposed to typical or what they call geothermal 1.0. The best part about this is that an oil drilling crew can drill this well without changing a thing. It takes the same kind of drilling knowledge. Exactly the same. Let that settle for a minute. The folks that can drill for oil can drill these wells. Same, everything the same. So who do you think is leading the charge? The oil companies are in Texas. They're getting with it as well and heading in that direction. As I mentioned earlier, the storage system differs from most geothermal power, which uses water heated by the rocks deep underground and can run constantly. in the case of this geopressure geothermal well, the idea is to create a kind of battery that can discharge electricity over 4 to 6 hours. And that is a longer period of time than lithium-ion batteries, the kind of standalone, what they call stationary power, that usually discharge in 2 to 4 hours. In addition to wind, Texas is also a leader in solar energy. And in that way, energy generated from solar power, for example, could be stored and used during long stretches when the sun isn't shining. So again, here's a case where you can combine technologies for alternatives that will support the grid. And the reason why they're doing this is because in Texas, they expect the need to double. They expect the need for electric power with the data centers coming to Texas like Meta, OpenAI, and Microsoft. They're all building huge data centers in Texas. And the state has projected that its energy demand could roughly double by the end of the decade. That's a little more than 5 years from now. 5 years. Double in 5 years. Those folks that support this geopressure, geothermal battery approach, they said this is it for geothermal. Either we compete now or it stays irrelevant. Here's an interesting thing that you may not realize. Geothermal, which they don't use the word renewable, they use the word sustainable or inexhaustible. I'm sorry. They don't use the word renewable. And as a result, believe it or not, the administration is behind it and they're looking for ways in the Republican legislature of Texas of actually supporting this industry. Even though geothermal energy does not emit the kind of planet-warming pollution that is produced by fossil fuels, they have been relatively successful in the state to get that support. I think part of that is because you can utilize existing infrastructure to do it in existing crews, meaning that you didn't have to train, you didn't have to go looking for people with specialized skills. You already got them within the state. Instead of drilling for oil, you're building geopressurized geothermal wells. So what might be a dry hole on the crude side is now a way to build these. Same technology, same knowledge, same equipment. They don't have to do anything different, really. And that's kind of a win-win when you think about it. And makes it easier to sell because it doesn't take all the specialized stuff. And right now, they are building one of these wells near Christine, Texas. And they call it a new form of alternative energy. And ironically, it's just down the road from a coal-fired power plant. Think about that for a minute. In Texas. Ironically, though, it's still really expensive to do. And there's one state where doing this is actually cheaper and easier to do. And that's in Utah, of all places. Utah. Some of the most prominent startups in this space, Sage and Fervo Energy, are based in Houston, not far from the campuses and office towers of major oil companies like Chevron, Shell, and ExxonMobil. If you're wondering how deep that well had to be, 9,600 feet deep. And that particular one that they're building, the show premise, can discharge about 3 megawatts of electricity. And it was drilled using an oil and gas rig and a crew of local workers who had little trouble applying their expertise to what would have been considered, in another era, just a dry hole. Their issue is, same well, you just have a different target down the hole. Could this catch on? Is this a good idea? The big challenge is it's still very expensive to build. Can they scale it, though? Will the government provide funds to support it? Texas already provides funding to support oil and gas. Is this a stretch? Not really. I mean, same technology to get it. it would seem to me that to add that on would be a win-win for everybody. Keeps everybody working, and nobody has to learn new skills. A geopressured geothermal well. Different. They call it geothermal 2.0. You're probably going to hear a lot more about this as time goes on because folks are looking for all sorts of, I don't want to use the word cure, but alternatives that make sense. The biggest challenge to this is the cost of doing it. If they can get it to scale and get the cost down, then it becomes more practical. Right now, they're building test wells, proof of concept wells. They got to prove it will work and it's sustainable. I think it will, and it does, and we'll see. And we'll see how many other places in the country will lend itself to this kind of alternative energy source, which doesn't do anything for the sky, but, is the same as drilling for oil. One trucking safety consultant says CDL reform is needed for the industry. That's next. We are the Tech Mobility Show.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than aonmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. aonmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. That's techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show.
In business, opportunity doesn't wait, and neither should you. At Playbook Investors Network, we connect visionary entrepreneurs with the strategies, resources, and capital they need to win. Whether you're launching, scaling, or reimagining your business, our network turns ambition into measurable success. Your vision deserves more than a plan. It deserves a playbook that works. Playbook Investors Network, where bold ideas meet bold results. Visit pincommunity.org today.
Did you know that Tech Mobility has a YouTube channel? Hi, I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. Each week, I upload a few short videos of some of the hot topics that I cover during my weekly radio program. I've designed these videos to be informative and entertaining. It's another way to keep up on current mobility and technology news and information. Be sure to watch, like, and subscribe to my channel. That's the Tech Mobility Show on YouTube. Check it out. The Commercial Driver's License, better known as a CDL, is an evolution of safety standards over the years that regulate commercial truck drivers in the United States. On October 27, 1986, President Ronald Reagan signed the Commercial Motor Vehicle Safety Act, which was designed to improve highway safety by making sure drivers of large trucks and buses were qualified to operate these vehicles and to remove unsafe drivers from the road. A DOT safety and compliance consultant says the commercial trucking industry is ripe for reform. This is Topic C. Let's take a step back for a minute. I mean, people throw around CDL and all of this stuff. First of all, CDL is actually not one license, but several, depending on what the trucker is driving, what he's carrying, and other, in fact, in some cases, state-mandated issues. Let's look at how we got here. Before the late 1980s, a compilation of heavy vehicle truck operators were the regulation was remarkably inconsistent, often allowing dangerous drivers to exploit loopholes that endangered the public. The establishment of the modern CDL was the direct response to those systemic failures, fundamentally transformed the trucking industry to the highly regulated professional field it is in 2025. However, However, CDLs are state issued, federally regulated, but state issued. They do have a clearinghouse to where back in the day, truckers could have different licenses in different states. If you got caught up in a violation, lost your license in one state, you drive in the other one, meaning that dangerous truckers are still on the road. The Commercial Motor Vehicle Safety Act of 1986 eliminated that. It also created something called the Commercial Driver's License Information System to enforce one driver, one license. This nationwide clearinghouse allows states to share driver data and ensure that an applicant does not have a disqualified license in another jurisdiction. The problem with this is that it's only as good as the states keeping the records caught up. In the last 10 years, they've had some problems where certain states did not update their records into this system, and some very dangerous truckers fell through the cracks, which resulted in accidents and, unfortunately, deaths. And when they tracked it back, it found that that particular state where that violation happened, where they shouldn't have had a license, did not update in a timely manner. Therefore, they were not flagged. And that got ugly. And something that you may not realize, a CDL isn't just a CDL. There are additional what they call endorsements. In other words, once you get a CDL, does not mean you can drive anything unless you have the endorsements. There's H, that's hazmat, that's hazardous materials. There's N, these are all endorsements that require additional testing, additional training, and additional certification. N for tank vehicles, requiring operating vehicles designed to transport any liquid or gaseous materials in tanks exceeding 119 gallons. If you see somebody driving a tank truck, whether it is gasoline, diesel fuel, vegetable oil, they have to have this endorsement on their CDL in order to be legally behind the wheel. There's something called X, which is a combination tanker and hazmat. And this combo endorsement are for drivers who operate tank vehicles carrying hazardous materials. There's T, that's an additional endorsement. That's for double trailers, triple trailers that you often see on the road. Yep, if he's behind or she's behind the wheel, they had to have an additional endorsement to the CDL certifying that they are trained and able to drive that vehicle. Here's two that you may not realize. Just because you have a CDL does not immediately mean that you can drive a passenger vehicle. And what that is, it's called P, it's an additional endorsement, and it's required for any operating any vehicle designed to transport 16 or more people, including the driver. This is one of the more rigorous endorsements, requiring both a written knowledge test and a full skills test in a representative passenger vehicle. You don't drive if you don't pass it, not legally. And then finally, there's an endorsement for school bus drivers. Getting your CDL does not mean you immediately get behind the wheel of a school bus, not legally. You have to have this endorsement, a specialized endorsement for driving school buses. In order to obtain an S endorsement, driver must typically already hold a P endorsement, the one for passenger vehicles. So this is in addition to that. It requires a written test, a road skills test, a background check, and something called an entry-level driver training program that you had to go through. And any first-line applicants in 2025 for certain endorsements must also complete that training, the entry-level driver training, the ELDT, before training. That's where we are now. The compliance officer complains that with inefficiencies like states being slack about updating records, that the current CDL system state-based approach is outdated, vulnerable to fraud, and inefficient. He recommends federalizing the whole thing, CDL issuance, integrating the various transportation cards, standardized testing, regulating company ownership, centralizing apportion plates and applicable taxes, and the proposal tackles systemic flaws head on. These reforms would enhance transportation safety, reduce fraud, and create a streamlined, equitable system for drivers, companies, and regulators. The transportation industry deserves a modernized framework, and a centralized U.S. Department of Transportation oversight is the key to achieving it. Because, again, even though a lot of it's been standardized, it's still up to the states to be timely, and there are lapses. We did a report maybe 2-3 years ago about the lapses in CDL reporting after a series of crashes on the road. And it identified it was wildly different between states in their timeliness of reporting into the system. Hence why this professional suggests that the industry needs reform. And bear in mind, we're talking 40 years since the last serious reform to the whole thing approaching CDL. What he's basically saying is let the federal government take it all over so you got one place, one database, and timely updates to that. Benefits of federal CDL issuance: simplified relocation. Drivers moving between states would only need to update their address, not go all through the system again. Efficient suspension tracking. A centralized database would enable immediate identification of suspended drivers across all states. That is one place where there's a problem right now. Fraud reduction. Uniform processes would minimize opportunities for fraudulent CDL acquisition. A dual functionality, a federal CDL, would also serve as a standard driver's license, reducing the need for multiple credentials. He gets into a lot more, but his bottom line is it needs to be centralized nationally because there's too many gaps and holes in the system, and it's only as good as the state's reporting.
This is the Tech Mobility Podcast.
Every great business starts with a spark, but taking it to the next level takes strategy, connections, and capital. That's where Playbook Investors Network comes in. We're your strategic partner for accelerating growth, navigating challenges, and capturing market opportunities before your competition does. Your business is more than an idea. Let's make it an impact. Playbook Investors Network. Your future starts here. Learn more at pincommunity.org.
To learn more about the Tech Mobility Show, start by visiting our website. I'm Ken Chester, host of the Tech Mobility Show. The website is a treasure trove of information about me and the show, as well as where to find it on the radio across the country. Keep up with the happenings at the Tech Mobility Show by visiting techmobility.show. You can also drop us a line at talk@techmobility.show.
Are you tired of juggling multiple apps and platforms for meetings, webinars, and staying connected? Look no further than aonmeetings.com, the all-in-one browser-based platform that does it all. With AON Meetings, you can effortlessly communicate with clients, host virtual meetings and webinars, and stay in touch with family and friends, all in one place and for one price. Here's the best part. You can enjoy a 30-day free trial. It's time to simplify your life and boost your productivity. aonmeetings.com, where innovation meets connection. Get started today and revolutionize the way you communicate.
You've got the drive. You've got the vision. Now you need the right partner to make it happen. At Playbook Investors Network, we power ambitious leaders with the tools, insight, and investment connections to move faster, grow stronger, and lead markets. We're more than advisors. We're your co-pilots in success. Because in business, standing still is not an option. Playbook Investors Network, fueling ambition, delivering results. Visit pincommunity.org.